Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you to everyone who's already subscribed to my channel. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you, God bless you. We're up to 731 subscribers as of today, and I hope to continue to give you the content you guys all deserve, and just to be able to help you guys get stronger, move better, and be able to pursue your God-given purpose more effectively. All right, so kettlebell program design, secrets of programming. There's obviously more that you can add to it, but this video right here has the foundation, the principles that you'll be able to use and take and be able to make programs that can effectively help you reach your goals. Because I don't know if you're like me, but I used to see these skinny guys snatching 24 kilogram bells, 100 reps in 5 minutes, or these smaller women lifting these huge bells, and thinking to myself, how the heck do they do that? Like, what are they doing? How are they training? Well, stick around, and I'm going to explain some of these programming principles that are going to help you get to the next level. All right, so let's start out with the most important aspect of training with kettlebells. This is something that I found out the hard way, and unfortunately it was way down my kettlebell journey. All right, this is something that you need to understand and implement immediately if you have this problem. Okay, so it's basically a fail-safe. It's a disclaimer to prevent injury within your training. Number one, firstly, you need to be able to move well before you add load. And I know many of you may not want to hear this. Some of you, maybe you already know this, and you kind of like, maybe I can do like get-ups or swings and kind of pass the hump. My shoulders don't work, or my knees, I have no range of motion. Look, you have to address movement limitations first. There's no middle ground. Either you move well and you're ready to add load, or you move poorly and you need to prioritize moving well. Okay, so if you want to know how to move better, there's so many resources. Flexible steel, and I received a dose of it during the Strong First SFG 3-day cert, and it changed my life. So look into that. Get a functional movement screen if you can. Assess where you're at and where you need to be. Okay, on top of that, I'll definitely start posting more videos on drills, on ways to help you move better, right? Because you need to move better before you can move strong. Okay, so number two, the second secret to effective kettlebell program is to begin writing out your goals. Right, a goal is the first aspect of any program. It's the X on the map that guides you your day-to-day lifting trajectory. Right, without a goal, there's no point in having a program. Right, if your goal is to lose 10 pounds of fat, if you're to gain 10 pounds of muscle, one arm military press half your body weight, or to snatch 24 kilograms, 100 reps, 5 minutes, right? Whatever your goal is, you need to write it down. You need to post it on your bathroom mirror, on your wall, in your gym. You have no idea how important that is to continually see a goal and it reminds you before you go and do something else. This is my goal. I'm going to continue doing this. All right, very important. Number three, you must, and this is very crucial part of your programming, you must determine your baseline. Where are you currently? Not what did you bench in high school, what did you military press in high school, what do you think your max is? You need to set aside one day before you actually start your program, and that's only focused on determining your baseline. Okay, so warm up properly, mobilize your joints, and then work up to a max effort for your baseline. All right, so that's it. You gotta find your baseline. You set a day aside for that baseline. Okay, it's part of It's part of measuring and tracking so that you use your baseline numbers to determine your starting point, right? It's very important, okay? Number 4, in order to program effectively, you need to know what type of movement you're training with, right? I mean, there are 2 types of overarching categories basically for kettlebells, and this is for simplicity's sake, and it helps a ton with programming, right? Makes it very straightforward. These movements are, you got your ballistics and then you have your grinds, right? When you're first starting out, it's wise not to mingle the two, respect their differences. What I mean by that is you need to ensure that you program differently for ballistics and than you would for grinds, okay? So side note, in another video I'll explain a little bit more about complexes and chains. I will address ladders for sure, but complexes and chains that kind of incorporate both grinds and ballistics together for some crazy results. But until then, we're gonna keep it as somewhat simplistic as possible so that you guys can grasp the concepts, the ideas, and start programming your own training programs, right? All right, so some examples of grinds are single, right, or double kettlebell front squats, pistol squats, deadlifts, standing military presses, windmills, bent presses, floor presses. These are all lifts that require a very slow gear. They're very slow, and they do tax the CNS, your central nervous system, right? Because you're using everything you can to lift that bell overhead, right? You're not just lifting, you're gripping, you're tensing your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, you're even gripping your feet. You're using everything you have, using the law of irradiation to move all that force into one focal point. So it does tax your central nervous system, right? So the second is ballistics, right? So you have ballistics. These are going to be your single or double kettlebell swings, your cleans, and your snatches, right? These lifts, they do require a higher gear, a faster rate of speed, and it's important to know that. Okay, that's gonna change how you approach and what energy systems, which I'll talk about later, you'll be using for that. Okay, so number 5, we're gonna look at the parameters for number of lifts, right? Or the rep ranges for your grinds and ballistics. And a good rule of thumb is to train grinds 5 reps and below. So grinds are pure strength, and basically anything over 5 reps begins to tap into a different energy system. It results in greater lactic acid production, fatigue, and as we all know, fatigue is the antithesis of force production. So you don't want that when you're going max effort, right? So the goal of grinds is to get stronger. Side note, a lot of people always ask, how do you get muscle? You want to get muscle, stick to grinds and stay in the 8 to 10 rep range. Or you're going to rest 2 to 3 minutes, 4 sets, train each movement 2 times a week. It's proven, it works, it's all you need. Pair it with eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and I'm telling you, you'll pack on muscle. You just stick to that formula, you'll be fine, right? So all right, let's get back to the secrets of kettlebell programming. In reference to ballistics, 5 to 10 reps is going to be a great starting point to mitigate fatigue. So for now, stick to 5 to 10 reps for technique on your ballistics, okay? So to reiterate, for grinds, stick to 1 to 5 reps, and then for ballistics, 5 to 10 reps, okay? This is simple, and it really makes programming so much easier and effective. Number 6, you need to be aware of your body's energy systems to program effectively. Okay, so we have 3 main energy systems. The most powerful is the creatine phosphate. It's the anaerobic galactic system. It's short bursts, very powerful, and they last they don't last too long. So about 8 to 20 seconds. I mean, 20 seconds, you got to be training to get that long. But so a lot of textbooks say so 8 to 20 seconds, and it takes a long time to fully recover, as much as 10 minutes. Next is the anaerobic lactic or the glycotic system. Same thing, right? Anaerobic lactic, the glycotic system. You're looking at 30 seconds to as much as 4-ish minutes until you run out of glucose stores and lactic acid builds up so intense that your muscle contractions basically halts, right? As Pavel Satulin would say, it gums up, the works in your muscles, and you can't contract anymore, right? So, and then there's the oxidative or aerobic system. This is the basically theoretically limitless energy system that uses oxygen as fuel, right? As long as you're breathing, you're using that system until you die. So, and it really begins to take over in training at about 4 minutes on. So past 4 minutes, you're in your oxidative aerobic system. You're using oxygen. And so as long as you can breathe, you're using your aerobic system, right? One thing to note that your energy systems do definitely overlap. So, you're never really only using one system at a time. So, based on your level of training, one system may be more developed than the other. This is why it's really important to be training in a way that you're metabolically flexible. Don't just use your aerobic system. Don't just use your creatine phosphate system. And definitely don't just use your glycotic system, because, there are pros and cons to each, which, right, most people do know them, some people don't. Some people don't. So it's good to look into them. So basically, now that we've covered, human physiology 101, it's time to ask yourself, so what energy system does your body primarily use for your goals? And now we're going to use the example of these two examples, right? We got 100 rep kettlebell snatch, right? That's the Strong First Gurvik snatch test. If somebody wants to do that, or just see what do they have the metal, do they have the soul crushing will to do that test. It's a legit standard. It's tough, right? So we'll use that one, and we'll use a kettlebell front squat, double kettlebell front squat of, let's say, 32 kilograms each arms, which is about 70 kilograms, right? And for 5 reps. Let's use those as our example. So what energy system would you be using for your 100 rep snatches in 5 minutes, right? So you can bet your bottom dollar that the main energy system that you're going to be using is your aerobic lactic system, which is your glycotic system. And you better believe that during those 5 minutes, the 100 rep snatch session, that glycolysis is going to be giving you a nice lactic acid bath. You're going to be using that system while you're training for that goal. Remember, only has a peak for the goal, right? And I'll get more into that later, but you will be using that system. So now ask yourself, what energy system is primarily being used in a kettlebell front squat? It takes around 20-ish seconds to perform nice smooth reps, and so you're primarily using your anaerobic lactic system, right? Your CP, and that's what you're going to be using. Knowing this, you'll be primarily using this energy system during your training for 5 reps, so you can program accordingly. Okay, so now that we've asked the question, we've identified what's the primary energy system, we can program around it. Okay, so let's jump to number 7. Number 7. All right, it's the last one, but definitely not the least. Okay, and it is addressing volume in relation to load waves or load waviness. Right, so you must understand that training is, in general, it should be performed at the optimal level of repetitions, right? And another very good rule of thumb is to limit grinds to no more than 25 lifts per session. I go by the 5x5. I've seen many other very credible individuals and training programs using 5x5. Paul loves 5x5. I mean, dude, you can't go wrong with 5x5s, right? So what's 5 times 5? 25 lifts. 25 lifts per session. Don't go more than that for grinds. And for ballistics, no more than 100 reps per session. I forget what his name is a Russian scientist that determined anything past 100 was really not adding any more. I can probably post that somewhere, what it is, but no more than 100 reps per session, all right, for ballistics. So what you got to understand for programming is that the ability to train with the right amount of volume and obtain the most benefits from your training, at the least cost to your health is the priority. This is why waiving your loads is very, very, very important, okay? Your natural ability to adapt to external stimulus is cyclical. It's some days you feel weak and some days you feel strong. When you program and you have a certain goal, you need to use these microcycles within your mesocycle. And those microcycles are waves. Those are waves where you go up and then down, up and then down, right? And they're called waves. And you can't be increasing your weight every week for the rest of your life, right? Your body does not work that way. However, if your goal is realistic, you can use these wave cycles to eventually achieve your goal. So don't be that person that trains heavy and then heavier and then adds more weight and more weight until they get injured. And then they're forced to back off, reset with some surgery and physical therapy and some humble pie, right? Don't be that person. Instead, use wave cycles. Be patient and be methodical in your process, okay? So I'll get into that later, all right? So let's look at a quick example of wave cycling using volume for total reps, right? So let's say you conduct your baseline test for your snatches and you're able to do 60 snatches in 5 minutes. You would begin with 50 reps in 5 minutes. And this will ensure that you have technical crisp reps every time you're able to train, again, without risk to much acidosis accumulation and just your technique degrading, okay? So your first week would consist of 2 training sessions, right? Each session would consist of total of 50 lifts, right? Week 2 would consist of 55 lifts per session. Week 3 will consist of 60 lifts per session. You would essentially be adding only about 10% of your beginning load each week for 3 weeks. Then on the 4th week, you're gonna back down lower than the first week. So stick to 10% based on your baseline total. So since there's more volume that accumulates and it gets harder as you increase those extra repetitions and you get more advanced, you want to stick to 10% increase from your baseline, all right? You're not going to go up and then 10% go up and then 10% from that go up, all right? You're only using 10% from your baseline number, which was which you start at 50, okay? 50 reps, okay? So let me give you an example. Let me just kind of work that out for you because I know it seems a little confusing. Week 1, you're gonna do 5 snatches with your right arm. Then you're gonna do 5 snatches with your left arm. Every minute for 5 minutes, which will equal 50 reps for that session, right? Because you're gonna limit yourself to 5 minutes. You're training for that snatch session. All right, then you're gonna do on week 2, you're gonna do 6 reps on your left arm, 6 reps on your right arm, and then you're gonna do that every minute for 3 minutes. On the 4th minute, you're gonna go back down to 5 snatches on your left, 5 snatches on your right. In the 5th minute, 5 snatches on your left, 5 snatches on your right. So that's gonna bring you to about 56 repetitions, right? So you went from 50 repetitions on week 1 for your 2 training sessions. Then you went to 56 repetitions. You're increasing by 10%. Then the week after that week, you're gonna do 6 snatches on your left, 6 snatches on your right, every single minute on the minute for 5 minutes. And that's gonna give you 60 repetitions, okay? So that's the gist. You got 3 weeks that you're increasing. Then on the 4th week, you're gonna go down Okay, you're gonna go down 10% lower than where you started. So if you were at 50, you're gonna go 10% lower. You'll start at like 45 or so, 40 or 5 or 50. Sorry, 45 or 40. I'm trying to remember. And then what you'll do is you'll use that program. You'll continue. So you start at 50, 55, 60. Then you go down to 45. Then your next one, you're going to start 10% higher from your baseline. So if you were at 50, you're not going to start at 50 on your next microcycle. You're going to start at 55, then 60, then 65. Then you're going to go down, not to 45, but you're going to go down to 50. Then you're going to start at 10% less than the previous week. So then you're going to start at 60, 65, 70. You're going to keep doing that, right? When you're being diligent, consistent, and you're clocking in, clocking out, and you're not trying to destroy your body, and you want to keep those gains that you achieved, right? Then I'm telling you, this is the way to do it, methodically and safely. And once you've built that base, once you get to that point, it's going to take a lot to detrain, right? So once you build that base, you can then peak a lot faster, trust me. But for the sake of starting out, you're going to want to take your time. You're going to want to be methodical, okay? So now let's look at your double kettlebell front squat goal, right? Let's say you wanted 32 kilogram bells for 5 reps. We know it's a grind, so for frequency, we're not going to exceed 2 to 3 sessions a week. We're going to only do 2 sessions a week, all right? In addition, we know that grinds are 5 reps, right? No more than 5 reps, and they demand more from the energy system of creatine phosphate. So remember, creatine phosphate lasts up to 10 to 15, maybe 20 seconds, depending on how trained you are. So you'll need a while to replenish, and you'll need about a good 5 minutes, possibly 10 minutes to fully recover. Your sets for grinds will be determined by the number of lifts you perform for the week. So we'll use a magical little thing called ladders, right? This will help you make some of the most serious gains. I'm telling you. You perform 1 set of ladders, you rest as needed, and perform another set until you reach your prescribed number of reps. So ideally you're going to want to rest about 10 minutes. For training purposes, you're never going to want to exert yourself to the point where you need to rest for the full 10 minutes. All right, save some in the tank. Train strategically. Grinds and strength training, they work so well with ladders, and I'm telling you, it's fantastic. Ladders come in handy when you need basically to get more reps done, and you don't want to exceed 5 reps for grinds. So again, the 5 rep range is to help mitigate fatigue and basically mitigate injury. So finally let us use the wave cycle with ladders to program your double kettlebell front squat goal. Okay, so let's do this. Let's say your baseline tests when you began, you went and tested yourself, and you were able to do 5 good reps with 24 kilogram bells, right? You started at 5 good reps with 24 kilogram bells, and you're trying to work up to 5 good reps with 32 kilogram bells. That's a pretty big jump. So it's gonna take a little bit, but it can be done the same way we program for the snatch. You're gonna use wave microcycles, but you're gonna use ladders, which is gonna be pretty cool, pretty interesting. All right, so we'll get into that. So you would begin with about 10 to 20% less reps than what your baseline was. So don't exceed 4 reps per set, right? We're gonna use an ascending ladder of 1 rep, 2 rep, 3 reps. That's going to be your 1 set or your 1 ladder. This is a neat little secret, and it helps you stay within your limits while simultaneously increasing the volume of your set. So remember, you're gonna perform 1 rep, right? Squat, park the bell, shake it off. Couple seconds later, 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, clean the bells, perform 1, 2, park it, shake it off, clean the bells, perform 1, 2, 3, park it. Now, after you've performed that ladder, you're gonna rest 5 minutes or more until your next ladder, okay? So remember that grinds should not exceed more than 25 lifts per session. So you start with a manageable volume of about half that. So 12 lifts, okay? It's very key, about 12 lifts. I did the same thing. I don't think I told you, but I did the same thing with the kettlebell ballistics, right? So what's half of 100? You start with 50. Same thing. So you're gonna do 1 ladder, which is 1, 2, 3. How many reps is that? That's 6 reps total. And after performing 2 ladders, your total number of lifts is 12. So with a pair of 24 kilogram bells, you did 12 lifts when your max was only 5. That's how effective ladders are. So let's use this in a wave cycle. Let's plan out a program, okay? So week 1, your number of lifts is 12, right? 12 number of lifts in your training session. So remember, you're gonna progress each week with about 10 to 15% increase from your baseline. So it's about 2 reps extra. So week 2, you're gonna perform 14 lifts, right? Week 3 is gonna be 16 lifts. And then on week 4, you drop down 10%, which of your baseline, which is basically gonna be 10 lifts. So week 1, 12, week 2, 14, week 3, 16, week 4, you drop down below your base 10%, which is gonna be 10 reps, okay? So you use that and you continue doing that until you're able to do 25 lifts in a session comfortably, okay? So these ladders, they're going to be performed using ladders of 1, 2, 3s, right? So the ladders should always add up to the total number of lifts prescribed. That's how that works. So keep this cyclical pattern of waviness until you reach 25 numbers of lifts. Remember that, right? So once you're able to do 25 lifts comfortably and you feel like you're able to go up to the next bell, then you're going to test yourself. Let's say you were able to work up to 4 reps with a pair of 28 kilogram bells for your front squat. Well, then you would continue, right? You would perform ladders of 1, 2, 3 for a total of 10 to 12 reps in your program, and you would do the same thing you did earlier. Continue this mesocycle. Continue this mesocycle with microcycles until you reach 25 reps per session. Do that until you're comfortable. The next time, right, when you're gonna test yourself with a pair of 32 kilogram bells, and this time go for glory, go for everything, right? You don't leave 2 or 3 in the tank, maybe leave 1 or half of 1 in the tank, right? Because this time you're really testing yourself. And I'm confident if you put in the work, those 5 reps are gonna go smooth. I know you can do it. So there you have it. Obviously, there's a whole world of methodologies and principles that you can add, that you can mix, you can intertwine. There's so many different types of rep ranges that you can do. When you get a little bit more advanced, you can start tweaking some stuff, but stick to these until you've developed a level of skill and technical integrity to begin introducing more advanced methods, right? So hope this helped you gain some valuable insight. I look forward to definitely answering any questions you have. If you have any questions, please feel free. Give me those questions. I answer pretty quickly. I pretty much answer the same day. If not, it's because I'm trying to gather my thoughts and give you a very concise answer in a very short form. But thank you for everything. God bless you. And remember, pursue your purpose. Pursue your God-given purpose every day. Thank you. God bless you.